Welcome to episode 15 of the reading of Michael McCoy's Garden. Now, you may remember from an earlier episode how much I had longed for a plant called Sedum ruprechtii, ever since seeing it in Beth Chatto's garden in 1994. So this was some years later. I've stumbled across it in someone's garden and they've offered me cuttings, and I'm beside myself with excitement about this. And these little cuttings are growing and I'm waiting for this big moment for it to flower. So that's a bit of the backstory for today's reading, which comes from the 17th of February 1998. Well, the joke is on me. Sedum ruprechtii is not Sedum ruprechtii. Its flowering initially went unnoticed amongst the settling in, followed by the early arrival of a new baby, etc. Then I was rushing through the garden one evening, totally preoccupied, and passed the plant, making a minor mental note that it had begun flowering. A few steps later I stopped, my heart sinking with thoughts of, no, it can't have been pink. Tell me I didn't see pink flowers. I turned, and sure enough, the flowers were pink. Sedum ruprechtii has cream flowers. I've already written how I pined for Sedum ruprechtii, so you can imagine the disappointment. I tried to console myself with the fact that it was probably Sedum Bertram Anderson, which is also an excellent plant, but I know that to be in the country already, though as yet unavailable commercially. Sedum ruprechtii is not yet here as far as I know. But mostly I was disappointed, I think, because it was a really weak ending to what was building to be quite a good story. While on the subject of disappointments, I don't know that I'll grow sunflowers again as I did this year. The flowering was spectacular, but was far too brief, lasting no more than 2 to 3 weeks at best. That may be acceptable in a large garden or in a picking garden where they may be grown in rows, but in a small garden it's too difficult to hide them once they're past their best, and it's too late to fill the space with anything else. The trouble is, there really is no substitute. Nothing else can provide the height, the sheer bulk of the sunflower. But if you saw them now, hanging their heavy seed heads, with foliage quickly turning crisp and brown, you would agree that it is exactly what you don't want in the garden in midsummer. It may be hot and dry, but the garden need not look like it's hot and dry. 17th of March 1998. I'm on the mend from a debilitating infatuation with the annual morning glory Ipomoea tricolour heavenly blue. I looked at it this morning and realised I was no longer in love. Somehow it just doesn't seem as blue anymore. Whether this is due to the cooler days, or if I'm now seeing it for what it really is, I'll never know. A couple of weeks ago, I couldn't get enough of it. I've grown it from seed for several years, but it doesn't like the cool climate of Mount Macedon, part of the common bond between us, and would always sulk, never advancing beyond the seedling stage until it slowly succumbed in autumn. This year's seed was sown a little late in November, and then the seedlings sat around in their pots for too long while I was busy with other things. It was well into summer before they were planted out, but they immediately went crazy, literally flying up the poles placed there for them. They were in flower in no time at all, though the first to flower was a pathetic pale pink specimen. Then the first true blue flowered, and I was blown off my feet. It was truly the colour of a deep summer sky, with a creamy white throat that caught the light so that the flower appeared lit from within. It made you ache to look at it, but to long for that ache when you didn't. I took flowers with me to show off to gardening friends. They'd have a glance with a casual, yes, they are lovely, aren't they? Leaving me offended at such offhand treatment. It was easier not to show anyone. Swine are easily disguised until such pearls are cast before them. But I proudly led a photographer to them this morning and was about to give them a glowing introduction when I realised the magic had gone. There's just too much purple now.